The Accra Region Police Command has arrested 5 suspects, all in connection with car snatching as part of that very syndicate in the capital.
The suspects, aged between 20 and 26, are said to be members of a syndicate snatching cars in Accra.
Briefing the media on the activities of suspects, the Accra Regional Police Commander, ACP Timothy Bonga, said some of the car snatchers use master keys to access vehicles parked in private residences or in open parking spaces.
Between the 18th to 20th of May 2016, the police received several complaints of stolen Kia Mini and Bongo trucks. Through police intelligence, one of the Kia Bongo trucks with registration number GX 9159-13 was located at a fitting shop at Sakama, where it had been dismantled beyond recognition. Further police investigation led to the retrieval of another truck with registration number GX 2564-12.
He explained that the stolen vehicles are resold at cheap prices or dismantled, and the various parts sold separately.
Through interrogation, the police was able to gather that when these vehicles are parked at their owner's residence, this syndicate led by Prof Ibrahim, who is currently at large, steal the vehicle with a master key. Immediately replace the registered number plate with a DV trade license plate and either sell it to a potential buyer or dismantle it with the help of a welder whose name has been given as Eric, also at large. The police will not hesitate in arresting and prosecuting persons who, without due diligence, purchase these vehicles from unlawful receiving and facilitating the crime.
The police say they will not hesitate to arrest and prosecute individuals who take delight in purchasing stolen vehicles without doing due diligence.
The Power Ministry has assured unionized workers of the Electricity Company of Ghana that prudent measures will be taken to ensure their jobs are well secured.
After a 2-hour crunch meeting with leadership of the union to address some concerns raised over the new billing software, ECG concession plans, among several other issues, the acting Power Minister Seth Terkper says they will continue to dialogue with union to ensure all differences are properly addressed.
So it's also about positioning. It's not just about current issues. That's a wider, context. The discussions have been quite, fruitful up to this point, and the parties agree that there's a need to engage, in the dialogue, continuing dialogue, so that we can discuss differences, across the table. Some of this is already ongoing between management, the board, and the unions. What we are doing today is to bring the policy perspective to bear, on the ongoing, engagement, in order that, the policy issues also can be discussed. It is about finding solutions, to the sector problems, and the government is definitely, this has come to the attention, government, and steps are being taken, to protect, ECG workers, at all, levels. And so we want to take the opportunity to say that any molestations or things that would, occur, such workers, such incidents, particularly since they happen also in communities where people are unknown, should be reported to the, security agencies. The engagement, we will definitely, continue. I assure you. Actually, the ministry has engaged, the board of the utility, the energy sector SOEs, and engaged the chief executives and their finance directors. So, yes, I agree. The incidents brought this forward, but it's a process of engagement which would definitely, have come, to your doorsteps.
And at the event was the Deputy Power Minister, John Jinapo, and he said there would also be dialoguing with the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, the PRC, over the new billing software system, all in a bid to ensure that concerns people have about wrongful billing are addressed.
On the issue of concession, we've decided that we engage further alongside the Ministry of Employment, and so we shall continue to engage. Whilst that of the bills of MMDAs, we would support ECG to continue to deploy prepaid meters into most of the MMDAs in order to ensure that we capture as much revenue as we can. In fact, they raised the issue of the software directive from PRC, and we promised them that we shall engage PRC. PRC is an independent body, but we do cooperate. And so if they have concerns, together we shall sit to look at that. And already I can attest and assure you that we've made a lot of progress, even with the software. We've put some correctional measures with the few challenges that we have. But indeed, the workers themselves agree that there were some isolated incidents where people's bills went too high. And that has been corrected, and we shall continue to correct whatever challenge that comes up. For issue that we are dealing with, and that is of particular concern to us, is the issue of prepayment meters, where people buy credit, and because of the configuration, it is assumed that you owe, and it deducts your money. That is something we are working with. We have set ourselves the timeline of June. We expect that we'll continue the process. We are not stopping the process, but we've given ourselves some timeline, and we are confident that by the end of June, we should largely deal with almost all these challenges. It turns out that you were wrongfully overbilled, and it meant that you paid in excess. It means we've received the money, so we have to give you your credit back. But let me also emphasize that it's not everybody who was wrongfully overbilled. And so let's get that right. We have to categorize and know that whether X or B had that challenge. And we did that before. In December, we did a similar one, so it's not a problem.
Meanwhile, General Secretary of the Public Utility Workers Union, Bonzi Kwe, says, though not all their concerns have been addressed, they are confident that subsequent meetings will put issues into perspective.
If we had requested officially that we want to talk to them over issues, I believe they would have given reasons why they can't meet us. We are busy. But once we had to cry out there, it has become loud and clear that things are not going on well when it comes to our performance of jobs out there. The one assurance that I want to give Ghanaians is that we want to serve and serve them better, giving the right opportunities and then the equal fair grounds to operate on. We have many, many challenges, and as Minister Riley said, we shall be engaging them regularly. Otherwise, we'll go out again and cry to the public to hear our voice that we are not being handled fairly, we are not being treated fairly. But once we've given some assurances, we shall be monitoring and then make sure that our people are safe out there. It's about security issues that made us to go out. It's about wrong comments made out there that we thought could have been addressed like what we have done today here before we make it public. Otherwise, that explains the reason why we thought that give us a chance to have a dialogue first, then just after that, we'll have commentary. And we are grateful for attending to our
Chieftaincy conflict associated with succession in 11 traditional areas in Ghana could soon be a thing of the past because processes to codify who succeeds in a certain traditional area have started in Parliament. Proponents
of the legislative instrument are convinced this is the only way to end conflicts associated with chieftaincy ascension. An LI to make it binding is receiving attention before the subsidiary legislation of Parliament.
Chieftaincy Minister Henry Seydou Dana told Joy News parliamentary correspondents that legislative instruments also deals with nomination, the selection or election, installment and system of inheritance in the 11 stools and skins across the country.
Governing every particular stool or skin. It tells you the procedure of a stool and chief, the kingmakers, and those who are qualified, the families, and where you have 2 or 3 families, the order of rotation, so that when the stool is vacant, you don't have people fighting. If there are 3 families, A, B, C, if the chief dies, it goes to B. If he dies, it goes to C, then back to A. And this, once you have this kind of LI, it becomes a criminal offense to contest for chieftaincy when it's not your turn. Yeah. Most of the areas, they are not there. As I talk, the first LI 32 passed in 1929 during the colonial time was about Akwapim. In those days, there was only codification about chieftaincy if there was some signs of trouble or trouble. Where there was no trouble, there was no codification. But what we are saying that we don't have to wait for the trouble. So we are now doing codification en masse across the country. And the experience is that when you have the LI there, it reduces the potential for conflict.
What about elevation? Does it deal with it in the LI?
No, this is not about elevation. It's about codification of lines of succession to stools.
President of the National House of Chiefs, meanwhile, Professor Nigel is also optimistic. Persons who use monetary influence to have their way in chieftaincy installment will stay away from the LI as it matures in Parliament.
Because we don't have these written laws, it's all folklore, it's oral tradition. And with oral tradition, it can change. So there's no way anybody can change it. You'll be taken to court. And once the court supports what is in the written law, there's no problem.
So these conflicts, is it your understanding that areas that this line of succession is not followed, probably the reason why we experience conflict in those areas?
Oh, definitely. Those areas which have clear lines of succession, there's no problem. But the minister just mentioned Kaliu, who was previously the vice president of the National House of Chiefs, when he went to the village, it hasn't been a problem in finding a successor because we had an LI passed by Parliament. So they know which are the gates, who are the people qualified, who are the kingmakers. So there's no question of going with your money to buy the chieftaincy from anybody. It's laid down by law, and that is an LI passed by Parliament, and that's why we are sitting here.
And I want to believe that the chieftaincy institution is fully backed this.
Oh, we have no alternative. That is, if we don't back the 1992 Constitution. It's in the 1992 Constitution, as well as in the Chieftaincy Act. So we have to back it.
Still in Parliament, the Gender, Children and Social Protection Ministry says it will resist any attempts by private developers to take over the Osu children homelands. It has emerged the private firm Cards Contracts Service is planning to relocate the home following a memorandum of understanding between it and the Employment and Labour Relations Ministry dated November 2012. Deputy Gender Minister Dela Sowa responded to the issue in Parliament.
The ministry received a letter dated 18 December 2014 from Cards Contracts and Services Limited, drawing our attention to an agreement with the Ministry of Employment and Social Welfare dated 29 November 2012. They requested for a meeting to discuss a proposal for the relocation of the Osu Children's Home. The ministry responded per letter dated 7th January 2015 that until the ministry received Cards Contracts and Services Limited request for a meeting, it did not know about the agreement, as it did not feature in any discussions on the separation of the Department of Social Welfare from the Ministry of Employment and Social Welfare, which supervised the Osu Children's Home. We opened further that this matter was not included in the transfer of responsibilities to the ministry when the Department of Social Welfare was being separated from the Ministry of Employment and Social Welfare. That it had not featured in any of our discussions, that the ministry owes no contractual obligation and does not intend to pursue the agreement. Mr. Speaker, we further informed Cards, Contracts and Services Limited that we do not intend to embark on the project. The conclusion of the response to Cards Contracts and Services Limited was that the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection did not intend to embark on any relocation project simply because it did not see the project as one which will promote the best interest of children in the home with regard to their protection and overall development.
Let's move attention to some other stories. And the International Monetary Fund, as we all know, the IMF, has expressed confidence in Ghana's economic growth, citing what it describes as significant progress in that very area.
Now, according to the IMF's 2016 World Economic Outlook report, Ghana's gross domestic product per capita for the year 2015 rose to $1,340.4 from the figure of $1,266.1 in 2008. This, the report said, represents an increase of 5.9% over the period. Sector by sector, the IMF report describes Ghana's overall performance as encouraging. Government, in a statement, says the performance by way of per capita income puts Ghana ahead of Cote d'Ivoire and Senegal. It, however, concedes in the statement, quote, "This notwithstanding, President Mahama's government takes the position that mere economic growth and its associated indicators are necessary but not sufficient measures of human well-being. We believe human development is a more encompassing and comprehensive way to conceptualize development as it puts people first," quote ends.
Well, so
living conditions and quality of life of a population in a specific year. It is determined by dividing the area's annual total income by its total population. For a country like Ghana, the per capita of $1,340, which is in the year 2015, therefore means each Ghanaian is expected to have earned that much if the country's GDP in monetary terms was shared among the population. This is higher than Cote d'Ivoire's $1,315, Senegal's $913, and Kenya's $1,338. In a recent UNDP Human Development Report in 2015, Ghana was also placed in the medium human development category with a score of 57.9%. The composite index was also higher than Nigeria's 51.4% and Cote d'Ivoire's 46.2%, among other countries that were all co-signed to the low human development category by their respective scores. This puts Ghana ahead of all its West African neighbors, except Cape Verde.
Now let's turn our attention to some mainstream politics, as also the 2016 flag bearer of the Progressive People's Party, Dr. Papa Kwesi Ndum, is the latest to wade into the whole debate about the Commander Sugar Factory controversy.
Well, after some confusion about whether or not the factory is in operation, the Ministry of Trade and Industry stated yesterday the factory is expected to shut down later this month. Dr. Ndum is, however, more concerned about the availability of raw materials and their costs. He says government should have put measures in place to ensure that cheap raw materials were readily available before inaugurating the plant. Addressing a news conference in Accra, Dr. Ndum added that government also needs to come clear on the management structure for the factory.
Yes, you must do. So you don't go and borrow almost 100% of the money you need to start a factory. You don't do that. You must have your own equity, your own money, a little bit to put there, so you know you are in there. You know you are in there. So we go and borrow some $36 million from the Indians. And then we, the Ghana government, will put in some $1.5 million to start and build a factory. And then we say we are going to borrow another $25 million to now build irrigation canals and help people grow sugarcane. You destroyed rule number 1 for entrepreneurship, for business building. You don't go and borrow almost 100% of the money you need for any project. And then rule number 2 says that you must be certain of the arrangements for raw material before you start building the factory. And it's not just raw material at any costs. It's raw material that would allow you to be able to, in the future, pay back the investment that you've made. So you don't now go and put a factory there and even go and commission the factory and now say that, oh, I have 1 or 2 acres where I'm doing a nursery. So that when the nursery, it germinates and all of that, now I can give those things to sugarcane farmers all over the place. You don't do that. And then number 3, there must be a defined management. People responsible for any factory, any project. So I keep asking, who is in charge of this factory? Who? Is it the president? Is it the Minister of Trade? Is it a Central Region Minister? Is it the NDC political party? Who is in charge? Because over these past few days, when any question is raised, some different person comes to answer. Central Regional Minister, Minister of Trade, some party people, here and there. But don't we have people there in Commander who are in charge of the factory? Who is the managing director? Who is the PRO there? Who? Who do we hold accountable? We can't go and hold John Mahama accountable. His time will come and he will go. When he goes, who will be there?
Dr. Papakwesi Indom, flag bearer of the PPP. And that'll be it for the news this morning. As always, you want to get interactive, please, we have a platform on WhatsApp through the number 0560 800,000. You can reach us and we will relay many of your messages to you in the course of great program this morning.
Okay, so it's time to find out what's in the newspapers and on some online portals, so please don't go away. We'll be back with more.